Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to Marijuana Essay Weekly, episode 95. I'm here with Dean, and today we're going to be telling you about the buyer's guide to LED grow lights 2021. So if you're interested in grow lights and you're interested in understanding the LED technology, and you're interested in finding out a little bit more about what you need for your grow and what you want to be doing, LED wise, you've come to the right place. Stay tuned, listen in. If you have any questions, leave them below. And without further ado, let's begin. I mean, Dean, I'm going to start off you sort of know you're growing under LED at the moment, right? And you've been quite happy with the results so far.
I'm growing fully under LED at the moment. I'm using 3 different types of technology when it comes to LED. I'm using blue purple SMDs, which are sort of a more classic kind of LED. I'm using some cob chips in the form of our sort of 50 watt screw and cob units, and then on top of that I'm using quite a lot of different kinds of quantum boards or Samsung LM301Bs or LM301Hs. So those are the 3 different kinds of LED that I'm pumping at the moment, and I mean the excitement for the show kind of came from the time of year we are with in South Africa. We're entering into the winter season. At the grow shop, we've seen a large increase in the interest in grow lights and people wanting to get the correct information for themselves. What grow light is right for me? What kind of grow light do I need in a certain space? Is LED going to be right for me? And for a lot of the people who listen often, they'll know that we heavily support, heavy supporters of LED as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is just a little bit more updated information as to, some of the things that I would suggest you look out for when you are purchasing an LED.
Well, yeah, let's dive in. I'm going to bring up a screen share just to give us give the guys a little bit of context on some lights, and we can just sort of have a look at the first major thing that I think is quite important, and it's basically to look at the form and structure of what kind of LED light you want. So like before you look at all your other things, your powers, your PARs, your PPFs, all of that, you kind of want to look at what form your light is going to come in. And there's a lot, you can see there's this shape, there's different sizes, there's round, there's bars, there's smaller ones for side projection, rectangles. So I mean, the main thing you kind of want to look for is size out your space, see what kind of measurements you're going to, what kind of actual physical space. There's a lot of these lights that won't fit in a 0.8 grow tent, and you kind of need to know your size and dimensions and then choose a light according to those sizes, because it doesn't matter what PAR or PPF the light is giving you and how good of a value for money. If it's too big to fit in your space, it's unfortunately not really going to work for your case, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a good example of that, we stock something called the QTM 140. It's basically a 1 meter bar. It's very thin. It's about 10 centimeters wide, but that only fits into, it's an awesome light, like maybe a single plant flowering light or 2 plants, or it can veg quite a lot of plants. But in a 0.8 grow tent standing up straight, 0.8 by 0.8 by 1.6 or whatever, it can only fit diagonally.
Yeah.
not sideways, only diagonally, and that's not what everyone is looking for. So and we have had cases before that people have purchased the light and said, hey, it's not quite what I wanted. So that's definitely a good point. How big is the unit, and how big is my space that I'm working in, to make sure that you're not getting something too large, even if it's great value for money or whatever, like Andrew's just mentioned.
Exactly. And then the next thing you're probably going to want to look at is type of LED that's on it. It goes from SM LEDs, was sort of the original kind of LEDs, and then it kind of moved into, I think, the cob sort of Cree chips were, they're still good. They're still excellent chips. Those chip on board, sort of big round ones, high powered LEDs was the sort of the main thing. and now it seems to be moving towards low powered or like medium power LEDs, like the Samsung Bs and what's it, Samsung
LM301Bs and H's.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are low power, sort of 0.5 or 1 gram, 1 watt lights. And but I think that there's two different sides to it. You know, the carbs are still doing incredibly well. If we scroll down to our E500 carb, that's a Luminous CMX32. If we scroll up to the top, those are also all the locally assembled Delta Grow lights, the Mod 1, the Mod 4, the Mod 2. Those are all also Luminous CMX32 100-watt cobs. So excellent quality, excellent horticultural results. It's sort of a single emitting diode that a lot of the time gets put with the lens. And I personally feel this range of the Delta Grow stuff is it looks really good. It's quite affordable for what you're getting, and they're very high quality. But then on the other side, you get the more sort of, slightly lower quality looking, because it's maybe more industrial, let's say, the King Brights or the QTM range. You know, it's there's no moving parts. It's a driver on a heatsink, and then there's an LED board on the bottom. You know, very simple, but every item on there is a quality component. You know, it's an aluminium heatsink, which is aluminium. Then we've got the Samsung chips, and then on top of that, it's coming with a quality driver. You know, a lot of the drivers that we're seeing in the LED space are Meanwhile drivers. And then also, you know, we've got there's the Osram chips, which are also appear on the King Brights, which are the UV chips. So, you know, it's just doing a bit of, I would say it's doing a bit of research into what kind of components are quality, then looking at the price range that you can afford, because you're not always going to be able to afford the dank 600 watt LED. You know, you might have to start off a little bit smaller, but if you know, I mean, and even going back to the blue purples, you know, you get great results with those, and that sometimes does fit the price range for a beginner grower, someone who's just getting into it. They don't care too much about sort of the more aesthetic side of taking pictures and stuff like that. So just having a brief understanding of what kind of components are in the unit you're buying will help you make a decision, because the brand name can mean nothing. You know, what's inside that's making that thing work.
There isn't like it's not like, it's kind of getting there, but if you think of, say, like the cycling world, there's definitive brands in the cycling world which are like renowned for quality, like camera brands. You know, everyone knows Sony, and everyone knows sort of GoPro, and everyone knows like they, you know, renowned for quality. But grow lights is coming in at such a bizarre industry angle. It's really not, it's so new that it's not, you know, they aren't the dominant players. They are dominant players, but it's not industry, you know, it's not like, it's kind of Mars had a go at it, and they actually did really well, and like Spider Farmer and stuff like that. So I mean, they are kind of getting there, but it's, you know, it's not off the top of everyone's head like this is the one. It's not the ones. There isn't a commercial aspect. You go into game, you can just buy the best grow lights on the market, or Benbow, or even the garden stores. But yeah, anyway, so the next point, I'm going to bring it up as well, is just sort of like understanding your specs. And so I kind of think like the third point to look at is sort of your understanding your wattage and how that plays into what we're doing here, or what grow lights are. And with LED, watt doesn't mean jack anymore. Like, you know, this 1000 watt, 600 watt, 300 watt, 200 watt, it does give you a quick off the cuff indication, but in terms of actually, you know, what's coming out of the
output.
LED, output is it's not, it doesn't matter.
Whereas with, let me just touch in quick, whereas with in the past it was kind of easier when we were dealing with HID lighting, high pressure sodium metal halide. It's quite easy to say, you know, I get half a gram per watt. If I put 2,000 watts in, I'm going to get a kilogram. You know, but with LED, it's not quite that, because you can, in an ideal environment, and if you do really well, you can pull more than a gram per watt, you know. So you can't really say this light will give me this many grams. Exactly. It's more about
nothing to do with it.
What we're going to look at now, which is the efficiency per watt.
Yeah. It's exactly that. Your efficiency per watt. Because with LED technology, like say with HPS, you're getting a certain amount of light coming out of the source of that, bulb, and the electricity obviously gets turned into like electrical energy, is into like light energy, and that is dissipated. And like with HPS and those, it's a lot of that electric energy is turned into heat loss, and then obviously quite a lot of light energy. And what LEDs have done is they've made that process a hell of a lot more efficient, which means not so much is getting lost in heat. I mean, LEDs, we all know, like, well, everyone at this, you can touch it, you can pick it up. It's never going to burn your fingers.
Maybe the chip running by itself, but like the whole unit itself is not going to be.
None of the assembled boards are of, they're keeping the heat down. So there's very little electricity being lost as heat. And most of it's getting turned into LEDs. Now, with each iteration of technology, they get more efficient. The chip obviously improves, and they refine it, and they bring out a new chip that's more efficient, is brighter, it lasts longer. And that's where we want to be looking at. So we've kind of devised a little bit of a easy ballpark test to look at it. So we kind of
we conducted all these tests on an Apogee MQ500 Quanta full spectrum quantum meter. All of these tests Andrew and I performed ourselves,
quite rigorously.
Quite rigorously. So we used an accurate piece of testing technology, industry standard, and we held proper scientific environment to do this. So we're pretty confident in these results.
Yeah, and it gives you such a good understanding, because like you can just side by side compare our lights between each other. Okay, so we did the lux. Okay, so your wall draw is 76.5 watts. So that's where we took watts is important in this case to understand how much is being used, consumption. And then we just did a lux. Lux is sort of it's not going to give you the greatest thing, because that's not the usable spectrum by the plant. That's just the sort of the light at a certain point that's coming out of it. It's sort of, it just gives you like a brightness guide, but it does, if you side by side comparisons, it can be kind of interesting. And anyway, so you get the lux at certain heights as well. Always look at what heights these were measured at. There is a way to do certain tests, like a lumen test, which is you use a Ulbrich sphere, and that's where you put it in the sphere, and it calculates all the light, but we don't have that equipment. But anyway, and then you get to a point here, 473.20 lux per watt, where at 30 centimeters as well, you're getting 9.15 ppfd per watt. And that's sort of what you want to be looking at in terms of your grow lights. Get something like PBDFD is your usable spectrum, and look for something. Wherever you go, look for those sort of factors. Don't just get spotted by this. The power, the price. Price is easily just like overinflated. We've seen some disgustingly expensive grow lights on the market,
and some disgustingly cheap for what they do, when you price or brand aside, how do you make a buyer's decision for yourself? And that's by getting into these things which seem slightly more technical, but they're really not. They're readings, and if you can get some base understanding around them, it really will help you make a more informed decision going forwards. But it's not just about, and that's maybe where this one small downside of LED does come in, and I'm just going to put this in now. I think it's a good time. It's not just about the efficiency per watt. It's also about the spread area, and that's still where I think that LEDs aren't. LEDs are very concentrated in their light. So
right.
in a space, you're getting an incredibly concentrated light. Where with some of the more traditional HIDs, you are getting a larger spread area. But then there's different downsides. There's the heat and there's the loss of energy, as we've said. So we're not saying here today that LEDs are the god of light, you know. But they're going in that direction, and I liked what Andrew said, you know, they're getting more and more and more efficient. I mean, even in the time that we've been working full time in the industry, we've seen leaps and bounds in the technology. So I can foresee them overcoming those current downsides as well, and continuing, especially once again in the South African landscape where heat is an issue, power regularity is the issue. Then it kind of makes sense to look at something that's going to draw less but put out more, so that I can power it with my backup generator when Eskom cuts the lights, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, LEDs is moving. It's moving towards, you know, I think everything's moving towards LED. There hasn't been much development in the HBS, HID, you know, double-ended sort of market. It's stagnated, and you know, that was the peak of years and years of development and refining and everything, and now LEDs is just sort of catching up and overtaken. I think in a lot of use cases it has.
And I've seen, just locally here, I've seen some more traditional growers, experienced big growers start to tend a little bit more towards LED as well. And you know, like I said, 2 years ago when we started full time in the industry, they wouldn't even listen. So you know, I think it is changing. I think it's changing rapidly. And you know, if you're wanting as a home grower to move into, if you're thinking of getting into the grow space this winter, you know, what kind of light is gonna be best for you. And I mean, in the South African landscape, I would personally feel if you've got a little bit of extra budget to put in at the start, you'll save money in the long run over power costs, and you know, you'll save money via cooling. You don't need an air conditioner or something like that, and then you'll be able to use something that's efficient. Something that's efficient, more eco-friendly, because you're not sort of burning excess power, and you're utilizing, in my opinion, a more sort of advanced piece of technology. And anyone watching this must love tech, because they're watching it on YouTube.
No, it really is. I mean, that's also one important thing you touched on there, is your lifespan. I mean, that would have been the last main point of this, is like your lifespan of LED. Like, sure, the cost, you know, you can work it down to your rand per efficient, you know, unit of watt that's giving you light and whatnot. And you can actually work out, you know, what the rand per watt sort of price is or whatever, and the efficiency that you're getting. But yeah, that it's always going to be higher, and the cost of the light's going to be higher. It's going to be more initial investment, not expense. But you're looking at, some lights are claiming 100,000 running hours, which is crazy amounts of time. But that's the thing, there's no moving parts, there's no heat, there's no reason why they should fail. So yeah, guys, in closing, I think, I mean, that's my points. There are better ways of measuring grow lights, don't get us wrong. There's Ulbrich spheres that, like, you know, analyze the far red and, you know, infrared sensors, and, you know, your measurements, and doing heat mapping and everything like that. But yeah, this is, you know, this will
but
help,
I think as a home grower, or as a novice, or as someone getting into the space or trying to learn, that stuff's all gonna go way over your head. It goes, most of the time it's going way over my head, you know. You can go deep into it, but you just to have some kind of base knowledge and to start to build your knowledge as to what makes these specific lights work can indeed help you make a better buying choice. And that, I think, was the point of this episode today.
Those are the guys fighting for like 1% more efficient, because that over 5 million rand crop is going to give you an extra, you know, 50,000 rand, which basically covers, you know, the entire, you know, nutrient spend or whatever.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like they're fighting for those percentages, where that's not going to matter too much in our use case, or in most home grower use cases. But yeah, guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up for 2021 Buyer's Guide to LED. Feel free to smash any questions below. We always commit to answering the questions in at least like 2 days after the video goes up. Thereafter, we still get back to the questions, but sometimes we get a little bit drowned. Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, guys, it's been awesome. Hope you have a great weekend, and take you all soon. Peace.
Till next week, guys. Peace.